Well, it's just after 2 o'clock Central Time. We'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for everyone that's on here. If we get some more to come on, that'll be great too. But we're doing our committee meetings this year via Zoom, and this is our Teaching and Educational Technologies Committee. And one thing that has always excited me about this particular committee is that we really touch every agent that's in our organization because we're all doing education and teaching, and we're looking at how we can bring in new technology, different ways of teaching, into and share with our other coworkers across the nation. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and if Kelly or Melanie or Scott can help me, we can all sort of take our own notes and we can come back together and pull that for our committee report afterwards. But I've just got a Word document that I have started. And looking at our committee, let me drag everything over to one part of the screen. Makes it a little bit easier to see. And make sure I have chat open too. Our committee currently consists of myself, and I'm David Yates. I'm the committee chair and the Southern Region vice chair, sort of that co-point. Kelly McGowan, she's our North Central vice chair from Missouri. And we have Melanie Barkley. She's our Northeast vice chair from Pennsylvania. And then we round out with Scott Duggan, Western Region vice chair from Oregon. Our committee is the last part of the group that is transitioning to where we're going to have a separate committee chair in addition to the 4 vice chairs. And that's going to end up happening this year. And that's going to match the other council chairs. Whereas before, it's just been the 4 people, and one of those 4 regional people serves as the committee chair. And we're going to match the other committees now by having a separate chair and then those 4 committee members. So pending our board approval at the meeting, I guess that's voted on, JJ, isn't it, at the business meeting?
Yeah, it's the voting delegates have to approve it during the delegate session.
They'll approve our new committee members. And coming on for the North Central vice chair is going to be Travis Harper from Missouri. And then coming in for the Southern Region vice chair, that's going to be Alicia Halbritter. Is that right, Alicia? Did I get that, or did I butcher it completely?
No, that was right. Alicia
Okay,
Halberter. Yeah.
great. Alicia will be coming in for the Southern Region. So we'll have our 5 people as we move into our new year. So that's exciting for our committee. Get that one extra person to help us come in and do some things. As we have met in the past, when we've done this at our AMPIC, sometimes we've had plenty of times and sometimes we've not, but this is a time for us to come together and just for the committee to share briefly some of the highlights of what has happened in the past year. And then thinking about what we're going to look at and our goals for the coming year. From last year in Iowa at the 2023 AMPIC, we did 12 presentations. So we had a full slate of member-led presentations. We had a total of 402 participants in looking at all of those. If you take the 402, divide it by 12, that'd give you an average for each one. So these are group of presentations has typically had a pretty high attendance when we look at from the past. Last year, we were also able to conduct a super seminar to where we talked about documenting impacts of social media and views. Evidently, David can't type or spell check. does things to us at times. Beyond just the view count. And with that, we got a lot of different perspectives about how each of our organizations across the land grant university system really looks at social media view counts, YouTube views of videos and creating those. Do they count in tenure and promotion? Do they count for your annual performance appraisal that you have? And we have found out that varies widely from, in many of our organizations, if you do it, that's great, but that doesn't really count toward anything. It's just sort of that extra whipped cream on the top. And then we have other places that have a very spelled out way of how these type of things will come in and they will impact your performance and how you're evaluated. Again, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to any of it as far as saying there's a real good baseline, but there's a few places that have a start, and this is where we can come in and we can share what some of our peer institutions are doing if we don't have this in our own, and then look at how we can help ourselves for that. A little earlier this year, our committee conducted we'll call it a webinar, but it was the NACAA 365 session. And we talked about enhancing presentations with PowerPoint. Kelly and I led that, where we were looking a lot of different and new things that are available in PowerPoint. And then going back to some of our basics, thinking about what are some of those do's and don'ts that we need to keep in mind when we're working with our audiences with PowerPoint. I think we've all heard the saying, we have the death by PowerPoint, and we have all sat through some of those presentations to where some people think the more you put on the screen, the better it's going to be. And you, me, our audiences, there's only so much that you can comprehend. More is not always better. So if you're interested in that, you can always go back, and those are recorded, and you can come back and see that. This year, we had a big change as far as the number of presentations that were submitted for evaluation and to be accepted to be presented at the meeting. Our committee selected 4 presentations. We had a total of 6, which was a dramatic decrease. But by looking at the numbers from the other committees too, it seems like we had a lower number that were presented this year or accepted. I don't know if that's more people are waiting and want to go to Montana next year, which could be the case. If there were just conflicts this year, et cetera. So we're a little short on there, but that's where we want to ask you and look at, all of our membership, is to encourage all of our members to present either with our group or any of the other groups. This is a member-led organization formed of committees. So the more that we can come in and share with each other, we benefit the whole organization. So does anyone have any questions or comments that you'd like to add there, committee members too?
David, I don't know if I heard you correctly. At the start of the meeting, did you ask us to take some notes for you?
Yes, if we have any note, yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
And it may be, we've got most of our notes here on the Word document, and we can add to that. But as we go through, and again, this is an open discussion as we're coming into the next topic, is thinking about ideas and plans as we come into the new year. I think one of our plans will be looking at conducting at least one webinar And again, this group looking at, what topic is of interest to our membership that we can come in and cover from the teaching and technology aspect. Also, thinking about our committee and our membership too, from a holistic standpoint, thinking about those high quality abstracts that we can have people to come in to present for our next meeting that we'll be having in Billings, Montana. Again, short this year of what we could have potentially had available, but we're looking for those high quality presentations, and we all have the rubric is available, but coming in and saying, thank you, Alicia. I told you, I said some things just come out right or not. But thinking about those high quality presentations to where we're presenting relevant information, but we also have that evaluation component to it of showing not just what I did, but what impact it had on our programs. And I think in some of our presentations, that's where we might be a little bit lacking at. Also keeping up that communication with our state teaching and educational technology chairs. I know in contacting some of our chairs, when you go in and you look at it and you send an email out, some of those emails come bounced back, or those people aren't there anymore. Or in a few states, all of those committee positions maybe are not filled. So we have some of those gaps and holes in there. So, we want to work together. And I know that is mentioned many times in the state president's workshop that they go through, that, this is an important part. State committees feed into the national committees, and committees make our organization work. And then lastly, thinking about how we can, and I think following up on our super seminar from Iowa, thinking about how we can better report the impacts of our social media and our educational videos. And sometimes that's where we come in and we don't always know and see how those may have affected people. But a lot of times, I think in extension, we come back around and we find out much later that, oh, by watching this, by seeing that I was able to, and fill in the blank, I was able to improve my beef cattle operation by something that you told me to do. Or I found out about coming to a particular class. I was interested in master gardeners. I didn't know you did this, that type of thing. So we would like to open up the floor. Again, any of our committee members or other people that we have here, what are your thoughts and ideas that you would like to see for the Teaching and Educational Technologies Committee as we are thinking about our new program year coming up?
David, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Ashley. How are you doing?
Good. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm in my office and I have my less good webcam and it's not always great.
Hey, you're coming in good.
Awesome. I'm not on the committee. I just am an interloper who am interested in this committee. So now that they're not all at the same time, I can go to more than one. I like the idea of the social media impacts. It's something that I've really been struggling with. I have one audience that I do reach a lot through social media because that's just sort of how they exist and it's the easiest way to reach them. And I have really struggled with figuring out how to properly report those. I've started doing things like I have a little Google form every time because I'm in like some groups, and every time I comment on something and answer a question in a extension-like manner. I put that in my little Google form that captures it into a Google sheet for me. But I still don't really know what to do with that at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm tracking it, but I don't know why. And so like, I think a webinar, a super seminar, something on doing that sort of thing would be extremely beneficial. I also just, I don't know if you know, I'm chair of early career right now. And I've been kind of thinking about this too, about trying to get the state chairs more involved and getting some of those more of those high quality presentations. We had 10 and we accepted 8. I thought about maybe like next year, I don't know if it's possible. I see JJ's on here. Maybe he can tell me if it's possible that we make some sort of like a little bit more effort to promote that they're available, and not just that they're available, but what kinds of things have been accepted, especially for our committee. The 2 we rejected were because they had nothing to do with early career. They were great abstracts, but they were clearly horticulture or whatever else, not necessarily targeting early career. They didn't have any component in them that said, this is how an early career person could use this information, and that's why we rejected them. So something about, some ideas, here's some things that we've had presented on in the past. Here's some, do you have something out of the box? And then also making sure we reach out to those state chairs with that and ask them, is there somebody in your state doing something unique that fits this, that we should encourage to, almost solicit an abstract from them? Would you please submit this? Because it's something we would like to consider having presented. I don't know. Those are just my ideas. Just what I've been kind of throwing around. With thinking about how things went with early career.
I like the idea about, and that may be a more over-encompassing idea, thinking about how's the best way to come in and present your abstract and to understand what that rubric is that we're using to evaluate them on.
Yeah, and maybe that's something my committee can think about, partnering up with another committee or doing it ourselves as a webinar on. I know we do webinars on that stuff, but maybe like a little bit more in depth on the, and I know people can go find that stuff in the county agent. You can go find in the proceedings from last year what was presented, but are people going to, and do the new people know they can? So just, you know how it is. The information's there, but we need to just make it a little bit more convenient and in your face.
Exactly.
And the one thing that we noticed with the presentations that we reviewed, we had a number that had no impact. So, following in line with teaching, maybe we need to look at how do you gather your high level program impact, or, how do you develop questions for follow-up evaluations? And then that way they've got the data they need to write into those abstracts.
Well, and I also think about some of the things that I learned just earlier this year with the new online PowerPoint Live, is that there are more tools that are in that we can incorporate as we're doing presentations. Again, you've got to have the internet, and that can be the make and break for some of us as we're doing things in a barn out in the middle of nowhere if there's no internet. But having the ability to come through and to capture some of that immediate impact results by asking some of those questions. And can you have that QR code to where you can immediately say, am I on the right track? Just something simple right there. Do I need to slow down, speed up, or whatever my presentation? But then embed things like that as you go through. And maybe that's a way that we can collect some of that on the spot impact that people may not realize that that's available, instead of, oh, we're going to have to wait and do a survey at the end of our session. We're going to wait and send out something 1-2 months later, that type of thing, which that's still important, of course. But will people do it? I think that's what we all, as extension professionals, struggle with. We know there's impact, but reporting it and getting people to tell us their story.
Right, and I think that's a little bit doubly challenging when you're trying to frame an abstract for a committee like this one, or like early career, or one of those is when we do our impacts for our programming, we're focused on the producer, on did they make changes, are there impacts there? We're not necessarily focused on gathering the impacts of was our technology we implemented successful? Was it, you know, we're not thinking about all of that.
Mhm.
And then we go to write these abstracts like, oh, we didn't gather anything about that because we weren't thinking about that, right? We were thinking about delivering the program and delivering the information, not how we delivered it and was that effective.
Right.
And maybe that's something we need, like, I like your idea of having a, Melanie, of having a, so, you know, something about those impacts and digging a little deeper into gathering that information along with the typical stuff we could gather.
I like Ashley's idea of reaching out to the state chairs as too. I think that's extremely important. You know, this email that this committee meeting was even happening was in my clutter box. It was on a long list of other committee meetings. You know, and even incoming as vice chair, I was never notified of this meeting that I should have been, you know, attended. And so, and I'm state chair of other committees of my state association. The national committees never reached out to me, never said anything to me. But unless I'm judging awards and I'm expected to, you know, produce those winners, other than that, there's very little connection between the national committees and the state committees. And so I think as state committees, they really just kind of do their own thing and they don't realize that there is a connection between those two for majority of our states. I know in Florida here, we align all of our committees almost exactly with the national committees besides other various needs. But, you know, I think that's a really key point there because like Ashley said, they know what the people in their states are doing. They know how their organizations work because we all know that every university is extremely different. And so, you know, teaching how to report impacts for social media and stuff is extremely different because every university's reporting system is different and what they allow and don't allow and how they write it up. But reaching out to those state chairs to do work in their own states, I think is extremely important. I know here in Florida, we're my FACA president tasked us with being a lot more active in our state committees. And so our state teaching and educational technologies committee this year is doing 4 webinars, I believe. And I advertised those to all of NACA. Our first one was about photography, how to get into photography, taking professional level photos and stuff to use in your extension work. And we had over 100 people registered across the country. Only 30 or so of those came. But, you know, doing that work in the state side, I think can help boost that work on the national side that we're doing and, you know, making that connection because then those state chairs can really be promoting all of the work that we're doing on the national level.
And you bring up a really good point about the communication because when we do send out, you know, these emails to the state chair, you know, I feel pretty confident a lot of those get, you know, sent to junk, clutter, they're somewhere and they really don't reach the eyes of the people until it's too late. You know, and that's each of our, you know, universities of how they manage our email systems because sometimes it's an open door, but I know in our situation, we're getting to the point they are clamping it down. And there's just a lot of stuff that you don't even find. I know mine goes, I have to actually dig to find some of ours that it's like I know it came, but to go in and dig it and then to let it release it, it takes a lot of work.
Arizona just implemented a new one where now they send us an email every day and then you have to click on the link and go log in to see the spam emails that it withheld from you. And the first 2 or 3 days I did it, I was like, there's stuff in here from our own Arizona.edu emails. Why is this being marked as spam? Yeah, you're not wrong. And then also I think we had an issue this year. Our committee chairs didn't get updated for Arizona. I don't know why. I don't know. It might have been in the website thing or something. I don't know. And so all of our emails were going to our state president, who, while I love her to death, she is a little bit squirrely, and does not always send things, as she should.
Right.
And so I think because like, I think I'm state chair for TET, but I didn't get anything. It all went to Betsy instead of to me because she's the state president. And that was probably I don't know, it's probably my fault. I don't know. Maybe I thought I put the email together and sent it to Scott, but it's possible that I squirreled and did not actually send it. So our committee chairs didn't get up. So there may be other states in a similar boat.
Yeah, so maybe that's
Jacob.
something that us as vice chairs for our regions can task, and that way it's not put on you, David, to manage all 50 states, but it's a lot more manageable for us as vice chairs to make sure that the correct state chairs are in the NACA website and we have their contact information. And then whenever we receive notification or webinars, we can be responsible for
Mhm.
sending that out to our states and our region.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all see that challenge, and I'm sure JJ sees it all the time as we go through. And if you want to, I know the national board has probably talked about this over and over. I know a couple of the meetings when we were doing our national meeting, we, heard those kind of topics, and it sounds like the same conversation 6 years ago than it is today with that. So you may
Well, yeah,
want to address that, JJ.
well, I'm just going to tell you. So I've been doing this for a while, and I can think back to when I was program recognition council chair, and same exact problem you're having. Communications and stuff, and it's really hard to put your thumb on what can happen and what again, because I mean, I was always after my national chairs to. I had some national chairs. They sent an email and they go, "That's good." I sent an email to them. And I'm still a little old school, David. I'm not quite near as old as you are, but getting close. And I'm like, "Did you call them?" Well, no. It's so. And then there's on the state's not updating the website. Actually, I mean, my fault, your fault, nobody's fault. To use a line from a John Wayne movie, it's still that's just. And every time we make it. We try to make an effort, but it doesn't ever seem to get any better. And then then the universities start clamping down and sending everything to, I have it's not called clutter anymore. It's called other, file. But OSU we don't do spam anymore. It just, I have a junk file, but it's different for every group, university. So I think that's a problem we're going to always continue to have. I just think as a committee, you just have to do your due diligence and I don't remember who said this, have your vice chairs, just tell your vice chairs, hey, if they're not responding to email, reach out by phone. Now, if you can't get all of them by phone, you've done your due diligence. That's not on you, it's on them. Because at some point in time, they got to meet you halfway and come, but now here in Oklahoma, I can't even tell you who our teaching guy is. I don't even think we have a committee. So, but you see what I'm saying? So just try to do your best, do your due diligence. Don't rely on email, but I've had people go, well, I've called and they won't return my phone calls. Well, you've done everything you can. And then then when somebody from that state complains to me, I go, okay, not our fault. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on the deal. But guys, I've probably been talking about this problem before I left Tennessee, David, when I was on, as chairs of the committees back in. It's a consistent problem. I don't think it'll ever get fixed. We just have to do our due diligence to try. So.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear we are seeing that the national board understands that too, and it's nothing new, but we go in. Natasha, you've got your hand raised. Is there something that
Yeah, hi
and
everyone.
everybody just jump in. There's no rhyme or reason to this. We're just an informal group today.
Okay, my name is Natasha Paris. I'm from the Wisconsin Association of Agents, and I'm here because I was put as the chair for my state for this, so I thought I should probably come to this. But there's really no conversation. I'm in my now 3rd year as an extension educator, and there was never a communication of this is what you do once you get put on one of these committees, and this is how you are supposed to engage and that kind of thing. And I will actually push back that the only reason I'm here today is because the email that came actually was very explicit about, okay, we're going to have these committee meetings and they're going to be virtual. And here is the link for all of them in one email. That was amazing, because I can tell you that I do not click. I cannot stand that the county agent email comes as click this link to go look at the county agent, and there's nothing else in the email telling me what's in the county agent. I can't look at what's going on at AMPIC without reading the county agent. I don't want it in my mailbox. I'm a millennial. Don't give me paper. Gross. And so, but I will absolutely, if it's an email that actually has words in it, I would read it. So if the emails that came were a little bit more explicit about their contents and what we could actually glean from said emails without having to click through to another link and read a 30-page PDF, oh my gosh, my life would be so much easier. And I would be so much more engaged with this organization that I do care about a lot. And so, and I was very, very involved. I was previously a high school ag teacher. I was very involved in my state and regional associations. So I guess I'm trying to figure out how to be involved, and that's been difficult to do. And I'm now over 2 years in. So
I do want to say I did also really appreciate the email with all the links and all the things. And also that all these are at different times, because in the past they've all been at AMPIC and they're all at the same time, right? So you have to pick one. And usually if you're on one, that's the one you have to pick, right? If you're a regional or a national vice chair. But like now I've got plans. I wanted to come to this one today. I have plans to attend animal science. And then I'm chair of early career, so I'll obviously be at that one. And it's nice to be able to engage with more than one. So I hope that I know this is the first year this has happened. I hope it gets to continue. I think it saves time at AMPIC, and I think it's useful to allow, and maybe this becomes a twice a year thing that these happen. I don't know. To help people better engage, to help the state chairs join these meetings and engage, which I think just kind of raises everybody up if we get more participation. And this is the first year, so I'm sure it will take people some time to get used to the fact that that's what we do have these, and this is what they're for. But I hope it continues.
Well, actually, I appreciate those comments, because the first committee meeting that I went to, they were a little upset because we were doing it this way. And I was like, and kind of explained it the same way you did, and said that, way it was. And this is our first year. We're going to have some bumps and bruises trying to figure out how to coordinate all the committee meetings and stuff. And so, but you're absolutely correct. So as vice president, I could not attend maybe one, maybe two, jump in one, jump out, and jump back in. And y'all are my third or fourth committee meeting in the last 2 days. So and I got a lot more on the schedule. So, but I will tell you too, it's up to the committee. Really, we'll just have this one mandatory type meeting, but I know like Ag Econ, they're doing once a month. We're gonna have once a month session. So if you, as a committee, y'all wanted to do a semi-annual meeting, that is perfectly fine, and we're all okay with it. Scott can set the Zoom up if we need to set one up using the NACA's Zoom link account. We all have university Zoom accounts that we can do it in, so that is perfectly acceptable. And frankly, I encourage it to maybe get a little bit more participation. So just an idea, but also realize too, y'all are my 5th Zoom meeting of the day, and I have one more after this. So I can see where.
Thanks for sharing that, Alicia, and thanks, JJ, for those. I think the encouragement that we can do something different as we move forward with this, that we're not locked into the past, is a good thing for the organization as a whole. And to see how we can do this, a little bit differently. Where everything I think a lot of us felt like everything had to be done at the AMPIC, and it was a one shot, and I mean, that's all you got. So it's a good way to look at it. In the chat, Alicia has shared, the webinars that Florida has done. I'm just opening that. And let me pop that up.
Yeah, sorry, Ashley. It's impossible to find a time that that works for East Coast and West Coast.
I
So,
know, and I was one of the ones that registered, and then I just couldn't get my morning together that morning to get. I had hopes
Oh,
of getting on at 7 a.m. even if I was just on my phone. It didn't happen.
yeah, I can send you the recording of it. I was gonna
Oh,
send the
that'd be
recording out to all of the registered participants as well, because I'm sure a lot of them just expect that they can watch it on their own time.
That does seem to be pretty popular, of course, with webinars. Is people register if you're lucky if you do 30 to 50% actually show up, but some
Yeah.
of them are hoping for that recording link later.
Yeah, and we have 2 time zones in our state too, so that makes it difficult to try and find a time that, works for both of them as well. So,
Yeah, that's always fun, and to make sure that everybody knows what time it really is.
mhm.
We're talking about Central or Eastern. And
Yeah.
I'm on the eastern side of the world, and I've got some of my counties that are central, and I have to make sure I think and adjust about that. But we appreciate you doing that. As we come in and thinking about, our plans for next year, does anybody have any particular just hot topics that they would think that our committee should investigate a little bit more and look into? I mean, when we get into branding and marketing programs on the cheap, I like that idea a lot. But I know when our group talks about branding and marketing, our communications department gets in a tizzy. And they think, well, if we can't, we're the only ones that can do this. And I'm thinking, I'm a long-term professional employee. I think I know how to brand and market my university, and not, at least if let's use the right logo, do some of the basic things.
Well, and I think doing that kind of stuff on a national level is really hard. We have to think of stuff that is applicable to you,
Right.
regardless of what your various university systems are. Because I've done some, even like designing PowerPoints and stuff, using design tools. And a lot of people tell me like, oh, we can't even use Canva because our university has particular templates you have to use, kind of thing. And I'd really like to see something on videography or platforms to build an online class. Because my university luckily has its own online class platform that we can have paid for courses, and that's been really helpful. That didn't really come around till 2 or 3 years ago, but I mean, I make majority of my program revenue and everything just from standalone online classes now. And there are a lot out there that other universities could use that are, third party things that could be a great resource for them.
We have a agent in Yuma who is doing some of that, and he's doing an awesome job. And I don't remember specifically what platform he's using, but it's one that we have access to. And he actually did a training for us where he gave us like a mock class and helped us like upload some preset videos that he gave us, some preset content so we could see how to do everything. It was actually really interesting. And I think a lot of people would be interested in that because a lot of things are going that direction now of, offering not that we're exclusively offering online, but offering that as a supplemental or other option, especially after COVID and awful things.
What about something about telling your story with data and high quality data visualization? Happens to be a passion of mine, so.
Would you say the last part, telling your story with data?
And high quality data visualization, we've all seen PowerPoints with graphs that are illegible and we don't know what they mean.
Or boring. This is a
boring.
plain line graph with no, yeah.
Yeah.
There are some
Hey.
awesome ways now to do stuff.
Hey, as an economist, I take that as offense. So we don't get to show pretty pictures of cows and things growing. All we have is bar charts.
You can make a bar chart beautiful. I love bar charts, but you have to make it beautiful.
Just no itty bitty numbers.
They're trying. It may have been Florida that I saw this at. Oh, they do. What is it's called info. Is it infographic?
Infographics.
Yeah. That again, I'm waiting for somebody to teach me how to do it. I haven't quite learned it yet. But anyway, is that what you're talking about, the infographics?
Yeah, but then also just like, say you have your own data, how do you do something with it other than?
Well, yeah, turn it into infographics. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I
other than-
got mounds of data. I just turn it into infographics.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just design styles doing that, whether you're using, something as simple as PowerPoint or, something super advanced like Power BI or, there's a lot of platforms that can make moving charts for you and just something. I think she's talking about more aesthetics and like eye
No,
design.
no, not aesthetics. Making how do you create high quality data? So if you have a mound of data, getting it from your gross spreadsheet and not just taking a screenshot of your spreadsheet, but turning it into a graph that makes sense to people, actually tells the story you want it to, and then creating text around it. But it's not just about making it pretty colors.
Yeah, intentional design though. Yeah.
Yes.
That might make a neat new communications entry for designing the graphs.
Yeah, please don't give us on communications committee another thing to judge. Florida already has like over 100 entries every year. I'm chair of that too, and it's a lot.
Communications, I think, is the hardest one. I did that for a few years and I'm like, nope. Moving on. When you talk about the just the videos in general, 2 times ago, is that right? Basically that's what we did, a super seminar on too at the national meeting. Colt and I led that. And I've taken that information and sort of repackaged it. And I'm doing that as a hands-on in-service, doing it next month. Well, next August. I'm already thinking July, but I'm doing that with some of our agents and trying to teach how can you tell your impact story quick and easy with the tools that you probably have in your pocket already. And
Yeah,
that's
that's what I
something
like a lot about those trainings is, not only how do you do it, but how do you use it in your extension programming? Because I think that's really important. We can teach, photography and the rule of thirds and all of these things, but then what do you actually do with those skills to enhance your extension programming is an important part of those classes, whatever we teach, because that's what trains people to actually go back and use that information rather than just learn it and say, oh, that's cool, and then never use it.
Well, and I've always told people, I said, when you think about it, a goldfish has a longer attention span than an adult human. And to think about, we've trained ourselves as a society to think like that. So if we are talking to our stakeholders, whether those are stakeholders that are giving us money or those are stakeholders helping with program evaluation, all these different things, instead of handing them a written report, how can we come in and do this and make it, maybe it's just a 30-second video that can tell our story and be more effective, and those people will remember it easier, than the county court report that's got 50 pages about everything that we've done in extension. And I work with a lot of counties like that. And I'm like, do you think the people read that? Do you really? I just don't see, I feel like that's something that gets thrown in the trash. Some good ideas. Are there anything else you want to throw out on the table?
To steal a little from Florida, I like that idea of a photography class. Although we had one with Colt that was kind of danced around the edges with equipment to purchase and that sort of thing. But I was reading the description of the photography class that Florida's doing. I really liked it.
We may want to look at borrowing that idea and doing it at a national level.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think everybody's taking photographs and we can always improve what we're doing.
I think it would be a nice follow-up to the one that was done, because that one focused, like Scott said, hi Scott, more on the equipment, cameras, things like that. Rather than the composition of the photographs, how to take nice looking photographs, how to capture what you want to capture. Make it be a nice follow-up.
Well, I mean, I know with photography, what I have learned is that don't take one photo, but take a lot. And hopefully one of them will be the one that, speaks those words without speaking the words. It tells the story.
Maybe even some basic like post editing stuff. Like, I will say Jim Davis is our guy that did the photography one. He is an excellent wildlife photographer. But a lot of his PowerPoint was just going over photos that he's taken and discussing, why he took that photo or where he was in relation to the animal and stuff like that. And I think I would like to see more of, like one, like kind of point and shoot stuff for your phone or whatever basic camera you have, because a lot of people aren't going to go buy, DSLRs or anything, or, most of us in the ag world, I'm not carrying that around in the field. I have my cell phone on me all the time. But then how can I turn that, random photo I took on my cell phone into a usable high quality image? If it just needs to be brightened up a little bit, or, what kind of platforms and stuff are available for that.
And the universities that have an Adobe license, Adobe has come out with a lot of other products where you don't have to be a Photoshop editor professional to actually do those kind of things now. There's that Photoshop. It's not Photoshop a lot. It's got a different name, but that's basically what it is. And it's
Lightroom is
included.
another good one.
Yeah, it's included in the cloud, and there's a lot of different ones.
They've also come up with Photoshop Beta, which is an AI.
Yes.
And I haven't tried it yet. I just
Adobe's
downloaded
gone
it
to-
yesterday. So
Yeah, the Adobe has embraced the AI 1000%. I mean, you can go in there and write a description. I want blah, 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 blah. And it's scary what it will come out. It's like it's reading your mind. It is just sucked what intelligence we have left and put it out on the screen.
And there's the Adobe Express, which is a mobile app. There's an online version
Yes.
too, but there's a mobile app, and it's really useful for like, you can do those sorts of editing things on photos. You can make them sized for social media posts. You can create flyers and things right there from your phone with the pictures you just took.
And it does video
certainly-
too.
It'll do video too, yep, and I use it a lot because it's just easy. It's super
Mhm.
easy and user friendly.
What was the name of that again?
Adobe Express.
Adobe Express. Thank you.
Yep. It is free to use. And then if your university has the Creative Cloud license, that gives you all the premium options. But all the basic things are already free. you don't have to have that. It's more backgrounds and that kind of stuff that come with the premium version. But we don't have a Canva license as a university, but we have the Adobe license. So we're really pushing everyone to sort of forget Canva and to try to use Adobe Express for those type of things.
Canva's actually free for educators. You just have to apply for it.
Yes, and they let us do that during COVID, and then now they're sort of clamping down on that. We've had a bunch of people that they're using their EDU email and they're still not letting them in. It's strange.
Yeah, it has to be like nonprofit youth. We went
Mhm.
through 4-H and got it through 4-H, and that helped.
Our university is telling us not to use Canva specifically because they don't have the same accessibility features that Adobe Express does. And so
Yep.
like in terms of screen readers for our visually impaired and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have to go back into Adobe and change ours for accessibility.
Any other ideas? And I know we could talk about accessibility, and that opens up a new can of worms for all of us across the universities. But I know we all have a lot of pressure put on us as professionals. We've got to do that, and at least we need to be aware of it. I think that's our starting point. And if you're aware and understand the impact it has on some of our clients, I think it starts to tell that story instead of just trying to cram everything down somebody's throat all at once with all of that information about it. Any other ideas, comments, questions for the good of the cause?
Do we have a way beyond just reaching out to our state chairs? But I know like when I was trying to send out my flyer to the NACA base, you know, Scott had mentioned that it really has to come from like NACA communication, that the states can't communicate. I mean, I literally had to email every NACA person individually, and got probably 500 out of office emails returned, you know, immediately. And which wasn't too bad. Scott at least was able to send me the, you know, most recent thing. And so I just had to kind of bulk email everybody. I got a lot of people emailing me like, did you mean to send this to me? Or so does our committee, I mean, I know our national committee as a way, obviously, to email as the national committee, but if state chairs are communicating with us opportunities that they can present to the national organization, what is our like ability to advertise their programs for them as well?
JJ, do you I'm not
I-
real sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody's ever asked that question that I'm aware of. Scott probably has a better answer. And he scratches his head, so oh no.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I know that look.
the capabilities within our hosted website, the company that we're going through has kind of said to us that they don't manage listservs, that they don't want to get into the listserv part of it. So, you know, the only functionality that we really have with you as a member, you can go in and do a member search and generate the full list of either by state or by the entire country. And you can search out by specialties, but it coming from national is not really set up in our current system. So, I mean, most members don't realize that member search function is available. It's just, you know, we do take the risk if all our members go in and start emailing 3,200 members weekly. On the national side, we could get some flack for that, but I mean, we also want to have member info available to people. So, but I mean, I even struggle. I mean, we, in our old website that we kind of had, we weren't hiring it to well, we were hiring a third party web hosting just for storage and stuff. But, you know, we did have a better listserv type process set up within that. And that was the one downfall of going with the company we went with, was that they pretty much said they don't want to do listservs. But if there's a way for us to, you know, potentially go to a third party that we can pull the data and utilize a third party to manage the listservs, you know, I think the board would consider it, because I mean, that's one thing, is that we want, I know the board has taken a lot of feedback over the years that there's still seems to be communication breakdowns, you know, between that, but also members needing a better communication outlet. There is a company that's been hounding me for years to develop more of a, through them, develop more of a social networking setup for our members, which would allow us to do exactly what you're wanting to do, you know, spread the news. If people have interest in Ag Econ and they want to join that group, then a click of a button, you could send them a flyer on something that's promoting Ag Econ or horticulture or whatever. And I can't, Higher Logic is what it's called, if you ever want to Google Higher Logic. And I've shared it with a couple of past presidents in the last 5 to 7 years, but it's, you know, another 5 to 10 grand a year. And I think the last time I shared it was about the time we were integrating to the new website, which they were making an investment of 100,000. So asking for another 5 to 7 wasn't in the cards. But, you know, maybe it's something that we should look into again, because I mean, it's, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Higher Logic, but that's what they do. It's basically developing an intranet, like what large corporations do. And you may have them with your universities, I don't know.
So just for clarification, you're using MailChimp right now for the newsletter.
Correct.
Do you have sub audiences within MailChimp for the various committees or states?
I don't, but you're right. And that's the use of MailChimp. Could be an avenue that we've already got set up. And that's why I had to go to MailChimp, because I couldn't do it through our website. But you're right. I mean, I could, the problem is the percentage of members that go in and actually specify their specializations is probably less than 40%, 50%. So it's not going to be 100% accurate on getting everybody that's a horticulture agent or everybody that's a animal science. But you're right, we could do that.
Could we do just like a sign up form where it's not you putting them into an audience, but them actually choosing which audiences they may, or which listservs they want to be a part of? And that way on the website, you could just have the link to the sign up form for on each committee, or, you know, clickable links in the county agent. And so they can, sign up for the listservs on MailChimp whenever they would want. And I don't know, you know, I hate to give more work for you, so all of us are sending you stuff that have to be sent out on those MailChimp listservs.
Well, and the
that make it
problem,
difficult, but
yeah, and that would be workable. But let's just say, Ashley goes in and she changes her specialty today. Well, or not even, or anytime somebody adds a new member to, and believe it or not, states add new members throughout the year, which is fine. Immediately my MailChimp list is out of date. So I have to constantly go in and dump and put in new. I don't do it constantly, but usually about once a month I go in because I know we maybe added somebody new this month. So it's the integration between the two does require constant updating of the data that's in MailChimp, which sometimes I get a little slow on, or let's say a life member passes away. And then I get a nastygram of, you know, from a spouse saying such and such passed away 6 months ago, please take him off the list, even though they could just push the button saying opt out.
So
But-
there,
Anyway,
there should be a way to automate that. So, because like when you should be able, you could set something up so that when the folks from the states who are enrolling new members, they can, you know, there could be a link where they have to go and put the emails in for each of their new members. And then it automatically adds them to the MailChimp list. And then once they're on the MailChimp list, you know, and then with the separate lists within that, you know, you can either set up so that there's like checkboxes that they join specific lists, or it's just you send once they're on the main list, you can set up an automation that says, welcome to NACAA. We're happy you're here. Here are all the different newsletter lists we have available to you. You want to join animal science, click here. You want to join crops, you click here. It's all automated.
through MailChimp, but not through our website.
No, but I'm saying that like you could put one thing back on the states to have them do the sign up for the initial sign up for MailChimp for the new members.
is there, I don't know if there's a way to bulk add members if you're not the admin. Like I know on my MailChimp administration, I can bulk add from like a, you know, CSV or Excel file or whatnot, but I don't
Right,
know if
which
the
is-
state chairs could go and bulk add unless they had administrative access to the MailChimp.
No, but I'm saying create an API that the state chairs, as part of adding a new member to the organization, they have to go to that API link and add in.
You surpassed my technical knowledge there. I mean, I know what an API is, but I just don't know what the
So it's just like, I have a farm,
abilities with the
okay?
MailChimp
I have
there.
a farm. When you come to my farm website, there's a big flashing thing that pops up that says, sign up for my email list, right? So I can hound you so you buy things from me, right? It would not be difficult that as part of whatever process someone goes through to add a new member to the organization from the states, that, you know, just they have to go to this one link and add in the email addresses for the new members. And that maybe takes that, you know, they may still have to they may have to send a message to Scott with their address.
But
and
I see what
whatever.
you're saying. Yeah, with it. So like right now, the process for a state to add a new member, that's done through our website because it generates a dues payment process, generates an invoice, all that. And then I don't officially add them to our roster as a paid member until the state sends me a check. And believe it or not, some states will wait 3 weeks to 3 months to mail in a check. And then I get an email from Ashley saying, why haven't you added the Arizona people? And I say, because you've never mailed me the check and I've never approved receipt of the check. But anyway, I see what you're saying. On that due submission page, we have a link to our MailChimp account. Alicia's point, it may have to, I don't know.
It could probably just be an embedded box where you type that person's email and hit add. Probably.
Whether or not it would require administrative, someone who's an administrator of the MailChimp, though, that's what I don't know.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know MailChimp has sign up forms that you can make to embed in your websites and all that, because I utilize those. Like it's a where people can self-subscribe to the MailChimp listserv. So that's more what I was thinking of. So that way I don't know what data you actually integrate into your MailChimp listserv, whether it's just names and emails or whatnot, but you can fill out that form to make it, sequester whatever information that you want. It would be annoying because every committee that wanted one would have to have their own, sign up form essentially. So it would make separate audiences, but that would be more work for you, because then every time we wanted to send something out, you would have to be the one to send it out if you're the only administrator on that MailChimp. Yeah, I was just thinking as a way to, if we are gonna promote that our state committees are doing more, in relation to the national committee, that the communication between those needs to improve. I mean, even just looking at the NACA website, I only see 2 southern region states that or even have their chairs listed on the NACA website. So
Yeah, and that's another problem we have, is that state officers and committee chairs for every state, their time frame is different. So like this time of year, we've got people's terms are ending. I mean, it's all throughout the year. Usually most states have their meetings in the fall, but not all of them. New York does theirs in January or February. And so, then I'm sitting there wondering, who do I give the state president ribbon to at the annual meeting, because their president, fulfilled half of this year and they got a new one. But yeah, no, it's a challenge. I mean, I got asked just yesterday by Ed Lentz, chair of the Recognition and Awards Committee. He's like, when will the states update their officers and committee chairs for this upcoming year? And I said, anywhere between now and next March. So it's a constant challenge.
Well, this sounds like maybe a recurring theme that the board might want to take a look at as we move into the future too.
I
And
agree.
we can always, our committee can give their 2 cents worth in on this too, but I think we're all under the agreement as a group, we're struggling with this. Not anything new. Is there anything else topic-wise that we want to throw out on the table for this committee? We're not going to stay on just to stay on, of course. I was taught well, JJ. Get it done.
I hate to tell you this, but you're probably going past every other committee meeting I've been in so far. So you've done well.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to
Well-
ask Ashley, she's got her chickens painting yet. So
You tell Keith, don't worry, he's gonna have the best dang chicken painting bid on he's ever seen, especially because
hey, I got one right
they
there.
have
oh no, this is her chickens are doing the painting.
chickens
Oh,
ready.
Mine didn't do that.
I may have bought 10 new chickens in the last 2 weeks, so there's gonna be quite a number to do the painting. 'Cause
Well, actually, I wasn't talking to Keith about it today. I was talking to Colt about it, because he said he's gonna make sure that if you didn't do a chicken painting, that you would never live it down for the rest of your life.
Oh, I'm well aware that he'll never let me live it down, so it's happening, it's happening.
All right, guys,
Well-
I hate to do this, but I gotta get off here and get and make one phone call before I get on my next one, so.
Yep.
But y'all
Hey,
did a
well-
good job. Thanks for helping, or thanks for being part of the committee, and see y'all all in Dallas.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for this. I think we've got some good ideas and information. We'll be writing this up. We've got a report that we get to turn into that goes into the council chairs that then gets presented at the national board in the post-board meeting after the conference. But again, if there's any other things that you think of, feel free to reach out to any of us on the committee. We welcome everybody's input. Again, this is the members organization. This is not run by a bunch of people that aren't going to talk to us. They're all people of us. So appreciate everyone that participated today. I'll touch base with all of our committee members in the next week or so. We'll get everything sort of pulled together and we can have our report written before we get to Dallas. I know Kelly's not going to be in Dallas. She had already told me, but as far as I know, everyone else is going to be. So look forward to seeing you there. Bring some sunscreen and a hat and plenty of water. I think we'll all need it.
Is there anything special for us incoming? I know they said we get voted in at the delegate session, but anything other required to attend or anything? Okay.
Nope. This is the easy one. You just sort of come in and then next year we'll have plenty for you to do. And appreciate you being here, Alicia. Well, again, thanks everybody. Have a great afternoon. Hope you can attend some of the other meetings throughout this week and next week and see everyone hopefully in Dallas. Thanks, everybody.